Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'd like to, before I respond to some of the comments made from the other side, sir, in the committee's recommendations on page 11, sir, there's one of the first recommendation is that the Ministry of Housing and Community Development complete the review of the national housing policy, which is pending due to COVID-19 pandemic. None of the speakers actually spoke about that. The Honourable Prime Minister, of course, has alluded to about the squatter growth and the reason as to why there's been a squatter growth. Regarding the policy review, Mr. Speaker, so overall, it's still in progress. In 2019, there's a policy advisor who was appointed with funding assistance from New Zealand, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, MFAT, to assist the ministry. National Housing Policy Review has reached the consultation phase, but of course was disrupted as a result of the pandemic, which we're going out to members of the public. And that, of course, will continue again, sir. Just in respect of that and carrying on from what the Honourable Prime Minister said, so there's a number of informal settlements throughout Fiji that we are in the process of formalizing. In respect of the work, and of course nobody spoke about this, we've already had, for example, in the lot allocation, these sites have already been completed. Lendrusasa in Nandi, Duvu in Naronga, and Waindamu, which is here in the Central Division, near Goat Road, as they say, just before you reach Coronivia. The following projects have been tendered out for construction in Tore, which is in the Western Division, Tavela, in the Western Division, Wakanisila in the Central Division, and Sasawira in the Central Division, sir. Also, we have scheme plans now for Nambara, which is in the Western Division, and Dalai Saweni, which is also in the Western Division. There's quite a lot of work going on, sir, and of course we have the following projects that have been allocated in 22-23 budget. The capital works will commence in Sakoda. 30% of the works have already been completed. Tavela, as I mentioned, Tore, Field 4, Wakanisila, Dombati, Nandumai, Vunika, Lovu Seaside, Vale Wango Uaya, Tau Venga Venga, and Sasawira also. So, sir, all of these works are currently on foot. There are literally thousands of people that live in these areas, sir. And in the next few weeks, we'll be also going out to many of the other sites. Most of the sites, sir, the way we have informal settlements that we're trying to formalize are on Itoke land, where government has essentially taken out what we call development leases. We're paying the monies directly to a TLTB, and then TLTB is disbursing those funds to members of the landowning unit. And in some cases, sir, the development leases were taken 5 years ago, and therefore they've expired. We're now negotiating to get another 5 or 7 years of development lease. Because there are over 40 sites, we are looking at also some public-private partnerships in respect of developing the sites, because if we continue to depend solely 100% on government budget allocation, it can take a long time. We need to expedite these projects. As the Minister for Local Government highlighted, and honourable members of the opposition don't actually discuss these issues. When you run government, when you decide policies, when you look at various policy measures, you don't do these things in a silo. Honourable Gerengere Tambua's comments are very what I call siloistic, apart from being pedestrian. It's very siloistic. Why wasn't this done? So, for example, if anybody's been to Nambuwalu, and I'm sure Honourable Randondro goes there a lot to Nambuwalu when she takes the boat. Mr. Speaker, sir, the fact is that where the site has developed is actually not very conducive. It's not flat land. There's various creeks, there's rivers. The soil texture is so prone to actually landslides. If you go down further east, if you go down east towards the fish market, you'll see it gets inundated by rising tides because of inundation of waters, because of rising sea levels. These are challenges. You don't just flick a finger and it all goes away. And Honourable Gerengere Tambua and others who comment on this, standing up there with a lot of sarcasm and making these comments, obviously don't appreciate the fact that these are everyday challenges that we face. What they don't also mention is that this is the only government that actually said, let's build a town in Nambuwalu. The only government said, let's build a town in Kayasi. Let's build a town in Senganga. Get municipalities set up. Let's get street lights. Let's get water. Let's get electricity. They don't mention that at all. And Mr. Speaker, sir, for them, I mean, NFP is completely obsessed with the elections. All the comments this week, they stand up and they talk about elections. Mr. Speaker, sir. And of course, you know, this is marked by the large absence from the chairs. And Mr. Speaker, sir, the fact is, also, we have called out members of parliament. We've called out Honorable Tui Sawau, Honorable Bulna Uda, and every Honorable Gavoka, and every one of them, exactly on the same matters that Honorable Garigari Tambua is made. And just because we point out to her, she says we are being misogynistic. I think actually that is actually quite derogatory. Just to hide behind that comment and say we're being misogynistic. So that means, by logically following through, that if we, don't pick on anything that she says, if we don't point out that the narrative is wrong, if we point out to her she's got the law wrong, then it's okay. That, I think, is an insult to many other women who are highly intelligent. They don't mind actually having a useful discussion, a constructive discussion, but the moment you point out anything to her, it's about misogyny. She doesn't pick on the fact that her leader made misogynist comments about journalists in Fiji. Not a word. Not a word about when Warid made that comment. Not a word. Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think this is, quite unbecoming to hide behind that. Mr. Speaker, sir, the other point I wish to also make, sir, is that if they had come to the budget consultations, Honorable Garigari Tambua, like at least Honorable Rasova turned up, and 2 or 3 other of his colleagues, we have been inviting them since 2014. They bothered not to come. They would have heard not just from us, but from the team at Ministry of Economy, what are the significant changes we have to go through. And Honorable Minister for Local Government is absolutely correct. When you have 3 cyclones in one season, we already have a budget approved. You have to divert funds from funds that are not being used or funds actually that could be put on hold. So what she's saying is that, oh, well, don't worry about the people whose electricity poles have fallen down or the roads they've been cut off from the villages or the bridges gone away. Don't worry about them, but continue building the town, because we will stand up and criticize you if you don't build the town. That's what you're saying. Mr. Speaker, sir, they don't understand the fundamentals of running a government. You have to divert the funds. We had only 1 cyclone in the last season, but the road got completely washed at the highway in near Maro, Kambisi. The entire highway went. 1 lane went near Semo. 1 lane went near Nalawa. We have to build a highway. We have to get the money from somewhere. Now, people aren't going to be disconnected if we discontinue with the number 1 project for a period of time, but people will be disconnected if we don't build the road. Just make logical sense. Mr. Speaker, sir. And the other point I wish to also make, sir, is that all governments have this issue. In fact, we recently had, a couple of years ago with ADB too, there is a government tender board, if government tenders are work. A lot of the municipal council works, for example, goes to the municipal tender board. They have their own tender process. But as been highlighted by Honorable Tui Sawau, and I hope he understood what he was reading out, that CIU now, from Ministry of Economy, has been called in to provide the expertise to the municipal councils, to be able to assist them to get across some of these difficult situations they found themselves in. Because CIU is a much bigger organization, they handle much bigger contracts. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, the tension is this. The tension is, do you give it to the cheapest tender? He says no. Now, if tomorrow, for example, so this is not an easy issue, because sometimes you may have somebody that may tender for a work that's $7 million. The next highest could be $11 million, or the next cheapest, I should say. There's a weighing of these issues. In the same way we've said to the ADB, we no longer can give the road works to the cheapest company, because they may not have a good outcome as far as the quality of the construction is concerned, as far as the longevity of the project is concerned. Because you have some companies, they may be very cheap, but they may do a lot of variations. Some companies may be very cheap. After they completed the work, there's potholes within 3 months. But ADB told us to give it to the cheapest company. So we are stuck. So Honorable Rasowa drives on the road and said, oh, government is useless. There's a pothole after 3 months. But we've actually followed to a particular tender process through the ADB, and we've said to them we no longer want to do this. We also need to look at quality. In the same way, for government tendered works also, we need to look at quality now, not the cheapest. Otherwise, Honorable Tuisao will pick up and say, oh, I know there was a tender for $7 million. Why didn't you give it to him? He was the cheapest. Oh, must have been underhanded dealing. That's why you gave it to the other guy. That's what they all say and pontificate. Honorable Gerengere Tambua says, oh, FICACT. How can you FICACT somebody? You report the matter to FICACT. But before you report any matter to FICACT, you need to exhaust, you need to establish whether there was any untoward dealing. And let me say this again, sir. This is the only government that has not hesitated to report people to FICACT, both within government, within the civil service, within the municipal councils. Honorable Premila Kumar will tell you how many people they reported to FICACT as far as municipal councils are concerned. How many civil servants, the scam that's been revealed under this government. And they have the audacity to come here and say that we only are selective, it's a political machination that's in place. So the other issue that I wish to also make is that they seem to think that the word consultant is a dirty word. Yes, if you're fly-by-night consultants, then it's a dirty word. If you give to people who don't know what they're doing, then it's a dirty word. But if you're reputable companies, you need people to project manage. It would appear that if they were ever to form government, God forbid, they themselves would go and manage the projects without having absolutely no knowledge. We would like to give the job to the people who actually know the business, not for people who want to think that they know the business, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, the other point that we wanted to make was that, about this whole conspiracy about we give stuff to people or we don't give stuff to people just because they support NFP or support some other party. There are currently engineers who, through the government tender process, have won tenders, and they actually, we know, are open supporters and donors to NFP. But they've got the contracts fair and square. They don't mention that. But they and their supporters, including SODELPA, go and harass our people who are actually legitimate donors. They belittle them, they troll them. Yet, this is a government that gives people awards or tenders based on merit, not on their political affiliation. If that was the case, then Adish Naidu would have never got that job. He actually applied for the job. And she stands up here, Honorable Gerengere Tambua, saying, oh, why did you select him? He applied. See, this is the level of obfuscation that takes place. And I can tell you, sir, this article that I'm holding up again is a completely perfect example of the amount of obfuscation and disingenuity that comes from the opposition. Here we have the leader of NFP saying, don't pay superannuation, don't pay FNPF. And then he stands up 2 days ago saying, we should have not deducted or reduced FNPF. When he is saying, take it off completely. When he says, and I never said that you should have a pay cut, over here he says, cut civil service pay by 30%. In writing, in your favorite tabloid, Mr. Speaker, sir. That's the culture that exists in that party, and I'm afraid to say it's creeping into the SODELPA too, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, the last point I want to make, Honorable Tuisawao made about how tenders may not be called. As you would know, working at USP, in those days when USP used to be somewhat okay, that there are certain thresholds. As you know, for example, Honorable Chale will tell you that if you have, for example, works that would be less than a particular threshold, you don't actually call for tenders. You don't go and call for tender for something that's going to be $5,000. You get 3 quotations. Government has a threshold of $30,000, $50,000. Municipal councils may have different thresholds. You did not bother to find out. What was the threshold? You said $10,000. Maybe the threshold was $20,000. Did you bother to find out if they got 3 quotations or not? But you stand up in Parliament and make these comments, trying to create disquiet. And say, I'm just reading the report. You have an added responsibility, sir, to actually get all the facts before you stand up and talk about a particular issue. Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, as far as the rest of the works are concerned, sir, and the Honourable Minister Koya has also highlighted the works pertaining to the town and country planning, and so has the Minister. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'd like to commend the committee. Some of the members of the opposition have said that the committee has highlighted and said the work should be completed too. I'd also like to urge the committee to also perhaps go deeper and find out exactly why sometimes these works aren't completed. There are various reasoning behind it. There are very rational reasons and very good reasons behind the non-completion of sites on time, or indeed there are supply chain issues. And Honourable Gerengere Tambua, you know, again, I find it so flippant to say we blame everything on Ukraine and we blame this on the Ukraine war. In fact, it's a huge insult. There are people today in various countries, they do not get access to food as a result of the war in Russia and Ukraine. Women and children are suffering. In certain countries, they actually have fight for bread in the morning, which is the staple diet. We have today Fijians, Mr. Speaker, sir, who are paying much higher prices for wheat, flour, and various other commodities as a result of the war. So please, in your quest for political ascendancy, do not belittle the ordinary Fijians. Do not belittle people who are actually suffering directly as a result of the war. Because it is very unbecoming, sir. And it is, in fact, a very pathetic display of what political life should be like. Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank the committee for the report. Thank you.